Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondi Blue, and I am back for another Iyanla Fix My Life, you guys. It was a very emotional episode, so let's just get right into it. Okay. First of all, let me wish y'all a good Sunday and a happy week. And I hope that in watching this video, it can make you reflect on yourself, make you reflect on the people in your life, and just help you the way I feel like whenever I watch Iyanla, it helps me. Okay, so look, the episode started off with Marcus and Melvin having a fight. Marcus is the second to oldest. He feels responsible for his brothers because his oldest brother, Michael Jr., has disabilities. He has some type of learning disabilities. And because of that, he was made to feel responsible. And Melvin is the youngest son. He's also gay. So there's a disconnect between the brothers, even though they are a lot alike. And they have this argument that turns into something physical where they have to be restrained from one another. Now, Iyanla is in the kitchen cooking breakfast. So she come in, like a real mother. And I was so happy to see that because I feel like that is probably something that they've never encountered. Having somebody that is a mother figure come into the room and say, hey, that's enough. You know why? Because their mama was somewhere smoking crack, okay? Y'all, I'm about to tell y'all, I'm pissed off at the parents this episode. Where I didn't feel the anger, I feel the anger this episode. I don't have children, and I know people will be like, you don't know. I do know one thing. I know what drugs do, and I know I will not allow them to take my mind in a way that I cannot be present and fully there for my children whenever I have them, because I was given that. But that's the blessing that was bestowed upon me to have two parents that were there and gave me tools. When I watch these men who don't have the tools beat up on themselves because they don't know how to take care of each other, Marcus especially, him beating up on himself for not knowing how to take care of his brothers at 8 years old just pisses me off. But let's get into it. So they have this argument. I'm not sure exactly what the argument was about, but Iyanla made them face each other, put their hands on each other's shoulders, and tell each other what they needed to say. Melvin says, look, bruh, I know I say things, and I know that it comes off the wrong way, but I'm going to try to fix that because I love you, you're my brother. And then Marcus says, I don't understand you, but I want to understand you, and I love you. I don't want to hurt you. You know, because it got physical. You know, it got to a point where they had to be held apart. But they told each other that they loved each other and they were being self-aware. And that right there is the thing, y'all. That's what makes these men so very special to me. Like, it was hard for me to watch this sometimes because I just wanted to hug them. I wanted to hug the little them. Every time they showed the pictures of them as young boys and little kids, such cute babies with smiles on their faces, and you just don't understand how people could walk away from them. These are the children that came out of you. These are the children that you created. These beautiful little boys. How could you walk away from them in a world that is set up for them to fail? You added to the percentage of them going to jail and ended up dead. You did as their parents by not being there for them in the most crucial ways. Them boys had to live in a fucking car, you guys, because they ran away from the abusive foster parents that they were living with, okay? And Michael Jr., with his disabilities, being always pushed behind everybody else, always being put to be protected and left out of things. He can handle more than they give him credit for, but because nobody knows, nobody's asked, nobody cares enough to really delve into what Michael is what's going on with Michael. And I think it's because they're probably in some ways mad at Michael because he's the oldest brother and he is treated like the youngest brother because of his disabilities. He was not able to do for them what they feel like should have been done. But at the end of the day, you can't be mad at Michael because it wasn't Michael Jr.'s responsibility. It was Michael Sr.'s responsibility. Iyanla touched on how they treat Michael Jr. because of his disabilities and because he's at the front of the line, regardless of how he fits into the dynamic of the brothers. He is still the first of the brothers. And nobody came before him because his daddy wasn't there. So even with his disabilities, he still made it. He still in some way thrived, regardless of the fact of his disabilities and not having anybody there to protect or help him grow into a better or stronger, more capable young man. Okay? You're supposed to take your child to a doctor, to specialists, to figure out what those disabilities are, and then find ways to teach them in ways that they will understand. That's what's done now. But back then, when Michael Jr. was born, with two parents on drugs, not there, fucked up foster parents, a system that did not care, they were not given half, I think, of what they needed to grow into successful, well-adjusted young men. But here they are, self-aware of the things that have been done to them and how they have now mirrored everything that's happened to them. They sat at the table to play bingo after breakfast, and they brought the father in because Iyanla wanted them to see that their father has gone through some of the same things they've gone through. And they go through, things that they have in common. And Mikhail, oh my God, I love Mikhail, because you can just tell Mikhail got a baby mama somewhere that love him to death, okay? I was just saying, because he was talking about how Marcus would get mad at him when he wouldn't want to come out and be with the shits in the street with him because he had a daughter looking up to him that needed him. He has children that needs him, and he doesn't want to be in that place. And he explained that, and then Marcus explained how he feels guilty now for trying to bring his brother into the bullshit, okay? For not saving the brother that died, for not being able to take care of his little brothers better. He feels the guilt that his father should feel, okay? So watching his father sit there and his father cried and he wanted to get up, and Iyanla, I think, didn't know what he was doing but wanted him to sit in it, listen to what your son now carries on him because you weren't man enough to take that load from him at the beginning. It shouldn't have been his load. It shouldn't be his guilt. It should be your guilt. But he got it all out, y'all. I cried the whole time. Marcus stood there. And then, Mikhail came behind him, and the second youngest came in front of him to show them physically depend on each other when you need each other. Lean on each other when you need each other. It was such a strong moment, you guys. Like, everybody was crying. I was crying. Lyric was crying. And that's my husband. And my husband can understand this situation because he had a father with a drug addiction. And even though him and his father have come to a place where they have a much better relationship, and his father will be a better grandparent than he was father. But I also think my husband carries around that in some type of way. He wears it on him. And because he's the type of man that will just swallow his emotions and keep on moving, I don't think he's dealt with a lot of his emotions as it pertains to his father. Even though their relationship is better, I think he carries shame and guilt because he didn't have what he feels like he should have had out of his father. He sees what he could have had out of his father now because he spends time with him and they have a good time and he loves him. I love his daddy. I didn't know him back then. I know his daddy now. But I know for my husband, it must hurt sometime to feel like you should have been there then. You're here now, and I'm glad you're here now, but you should have been there then. I'm sorry, y'all. I get emotional, okay? I'm sorry. I'm going to get emotional in this video because it was emotional, you guys. But anyway, at some point, the daddy stands up and hugs Marcus, and they go outside, and Marcus is like, I just want real love, man. I just want real love. When he said that, the fact that the daddy had never gotten it to give to him. And now Marcus hasn't gotten it, and he has 4 little boys that he has to grow up and fix himself for so that he does not give his sons the same thing that was given to him. You guys, oh my God. It was ridiculous, okay? I still can't get past them living in a car. Like, no coats, little boys, 10, 11, 12. They're all 1 year after each other. And that's another thing. Why did y'all keep having children? Because from what I understand, some of the kids were in foster care and some of the kids were still being born. So I don't understand why Michael Sr., like Iyanla said, you will continue to have children with a woman that walked away from the first set that you had. Why would you continue to do that? And Michael Sr. didn't want to really say what happened. And he doesn't understand that in order for his children to understand and for them to heal, you need to tell them what happened. Say out of your mouth what happened that ended up having everybody in the situations that they are in. And we're not even dealing with the fact that y'all got a son that's dead and a son that's spending 75 years in prison. Okay? You failed them there, and you failed them in the way that these young men have emotional issues and can't deal with their anger and can't deal with each other. You failed them. And you need to take on everything that they've been carrying so that you can understand where they are. And then you need to explain how we all got here so that they can understand you. Because their compassion for their parent is what's going to free them. And I'm telling y'all this from my own experience. And I talked about this in the last video, I believe, about how the first time I heard my father kind of have a plea in his voice to my grandmother. It was the first time I felt sad. I felt like I wanted to hug my dad because it was something he needed from my grandmother that he wasn't getting from her. And then it made me understand how he could not give that emotion, that he couldn't give that same type of love to me because it wasn't given to him. And I understood it. And after that moment, you guys, I never really felt anger towards my dad again. And I didn't have long with him after that. But I was not angry anymore because I was able to see how he got there, how things happened for him, why he felt the way he felt, and why he could not give that type of affection to me. I understood it. And I forgave him. And after that, I had so much more patience with him when he would get upset. And he was sick. And I would just be like, Daddy. It changed the way, my tone of voice when I talked to him. Instead of being a sullen, angry teenager, I had compassion for my daddy. Because I got to see that and understand. He didn't have to tell it to me because I got to see it. And I feel blessed for being able to even overhear that moment because it changed how I dealt with him. And he died not long after that. So I didn't have any bad feelings. I didn't have any bad feelings. I didn't have any mess. I just miss him. And I wish I would have had more time, especially now being an adult and realizing how much alike I am, with my father. I used to think that, I don't want to marry somebody like my father because my dad had anger issues. But I ended up being him and marrying somebody that was more like my mom. And it's weird because I'm the woman and my husband, is the man or whatever, but that doesn't matter. Personalities are personalities. But yeah, you guys, they're really going to have to understand what happened with their parents so that they can forgive their parents. But their parents are going to have to actually say what it is. Word it, okay? This year, this happened, so I was like this when this happened, and that's why y'all was like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has parents that fucked them up before they became the parents that fucked you up. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, you guys, I'm sorry, y'all. This shit is so emotional for me. So then they got into the mother. We finally got to sit down with the mom. Iyanla talks to her separately. And she was on crack. That's why she left her kids. She was on crack. She was not there. She did not raise them. She did not make them the men that they are because she was not there. But she also wasn't there for her 38-year-old daughter that she had first and left with her mother. And even though the grandmother took good care of her, she is still hurt and looks at her mama like a stranger on the street. That's hood lingo for I don't give a fuck about you. Because when you say I treat you like a bitch on the street, my sister said that to me once. We're not gonna get into that. But it's something that people say when they want you to know that you don't matter to them. And she was trying to let her mom know that you have put yourself in a position where you don't matter to me, and you my mom. It's not true that they don't matter, but it's the disconnect. It's the disconnect. Okay, it's not like she's a person off the street. And the mom is like, I tried to reach out to her. And Iyanla's like, what the fuck does reach out mean? Like, she didn't want to say it like that. I'm going to say it like that. What the fuck does reach out mean? That is your child that you left. What does reach out mean? Okay? Because I feel like once parents have like left their children destitute for years, and then they want to come back in their child's life because they about to die and they want to get right with God or whatever, they don't want to actually deal with the years of torment their children go through because of them. They don't want to actually feel and see that pain. And you can see that all over the mama face. She's there, so I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt to be open. But when she sat there, I felt like she wasn't really sitting or connecting with the pain that she caused. And they brought the daughter out, Kizzy. First of all, Kizzy is beautiful. Kizzy is gorgeous. Kizzy looks 21 and she's 38. Okay, let's just get that straight out the gate. But Kizzy is carrying around so much pain and so much grief because her mama left her with her grandmother. But what Kizzy doesn't understand is that the grandmother she had is not the mother that her mama had. And we're going to get into that on part 3, I'm guessing. But what they did discuss in this part was that Kizzy thinks that when the mom wasn't with her, she was in Kansas City with the boys, because I don't know where Kizzy and the grandmother were, but the boys were in Kansas City. So because the mom was in Kansas City doing crack, she assumes that they saw their mother. Iyanla lets her know that they were in 85 foster homes and group homes between the 7 of them. 85. That is fucking despicable to me on so many levels, okay? And she had to sit with that and understand that she and Marcus have anger towards each other because they feel jealous of one another. Marcus sees that she had a good life with the grandmother taking care of her. Kizzy thinks that they actually had the mom in their life in some type of way. So they have this jealousy and this animosity towards each other, and it's not their fault. And all I can do is look at the parents like, so not only did you fuck them up because you weren't there for them, but you've now created mess amongst them because they think that the other had y'all more than they did, and that's not true. Marcus had to come in and talk to Kizzy and let her know she was never with us. We was living in a car. We were living in foster homes, running away because we were being abused. She had the safety of her grandmother, but she always felt left out from her brothers. She always felt left out from her mom. She felt like they did not love her. I have a family. I have siblings, and they don't love me. That is a hard thing to deal with. I don't feel that way, but I am the only child of both of my parents, and there's a disconnect, and there always has been. Me and my sisters are not as close as I would like. The sister by my mom, I love her. We have a thing that me and my other siblings don't have. Me and Christy we may not get along, but that's my sister. And nobody fucks with my sister. We have that. My other siblings, they have that with each other, and then I'm just other. That's how I've always felt. I'm other. I'm not from their mom. I'm the other child. And there's some things that have happened, and I'm not going to get into it, but there's some things that have happened over the years where I thought they just didn't have time for me because they were adults with their own kids, with their own lives, and I was a teenager, you know. I don't want to say it. I don't want to get into it. Fuck that. I feel like they did not make a place for me in their lives, but they found someone else to make that place fit for. Someone who is like me, not in my personality, but in my age. And I feel like the relationship that they don't have with me, they have with her. And I'm not mad at her. I don't blame her. I actually think she's a very sweet, cool person. And it's fine. I do great all on my own. You know what I mean? Like, I don't carry it around with me as anger, but it's something that I feel and that I've noticed. And it can be different from their viewpoint, looking at me, but I feel like I came last. How am I responsible for our relationships when all of y'all are 9 or more years older than me? How am I responsible for our relationship when y'all are the ones that are older? You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I can only do so much. And when the comfort level isn't there, you don't feel like you can reach out the way you feel like you should. And I feel like that was the disconnect between Kizzy and Marcus, because Marcus is like, you were older. Why didn't you come and get us? Why didn't you reach out to us? And she was like, you don't know what it was like. I feel like her aunts and her grandmother created some type of separation with her and the mom, because she felt like her mom was jealous of her because the grandmother took better care of her than she did of the mother. You know what I mean? But it just added to the situation between her and her brother. And he felt like, why weren't you there? And it's like, she was a child too. How was she supposed to be there? You know what I mean? So it's just, there were so many things going on in this episode that I could relate to, that I mirror in my own life. And what I took from this episode is, you never know what the other side is. When we hold on to things in our life and we create a picture in our mind of a person or a situation, that's our viewpoint. That is not their viewpoint. I recently reconnected with my first love, my ex-girlfriend or whatever. And I say ex because it was like so many exes. She was the first girlfriend. She was the first love. So it's different. But her reflection on our situation was different than mine. It connected eventually, but we both had to apologize for the parts we played in it. I did not know that she saw me in the way that she saw me. And I don't think she knew how I really felt or how long I carried the baggage with me. And when we finally got a chance to talk, I felt like a weight had been lifted off of me, because I was able to see my fault in the situation and also able to see the positives in myself from her viewpoint. I didn't realize that I was this happy, bubbly person back then, and something happened after Katrina, after our breakup, after my dad died. Things happened and I changed. And I wasn't the same anymore. And I feel like now I'm coming into that person. Now I'm lighter. Now I'm happier. Now I'm bubblier, except when I'm on my period. Okay? So I feel like we should all look at our lives, look at the moments in our lives that we hold on to in a painful way, and reflect on the fact that our experience is our experience, but the other people in our lives in that experience had their own experience, and we have to reach out sometimes so that we can understand things in a better perspective, to look at it from all sides. You are not the only victim, is my point. I was not the only person that got hurt. I did the hurting too. I was a bad guy at some point too, and I have to take responsibility for that. But regardless whether I had taken responsibility to her, I had already taken responsibility for it in my mind and corrected it. And that is why I have the marriage I have now, because I was able to see that in being a young hormonal teenager, I broke something that I could not fix. And then when it became really broken on my end, then it was like, oh, she's the bad guy. But I started it, not realizing it, but I started it. You know what I'm saying? So that is why we have to look back. We have to look back. We have to reflect. We have to be self-aware so that we can fix it and move through life without the pains of that, without being ignorant of the things that we do to other people. We have to be free of that so that we can make better decisions in life. This is a long video, you guys, and I'm so sorry, but it was just such an in-depth, and it just made me think, you know, it just really made me think about my own shit. So I hope it does the same for you. I hope you have a beautiful week. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. I pray for everybody that watches me. I pray for y'all. I hope that y'all find peace. I hope that y'all find happiness. Anthony, I love you. I really hope that whatever is going on with you, because I haven't been able to really get into your email, but I'm praying for you. And I hope that whatever heaviness is on you, you find a way. God lifts that off of you. Whoever you pray to, whatever alternate, religion, whatever it is that you pray to, whatever you believe in, I hope that you can lean on that to lift the heaviness off of your spirit. Because once we realize that the things we carry around only weigh us down and keep us from being our best selves and living our best lives, until we realize that we're just stuck in a cycle of repeating the same mistakes, meeting the same people, picking the same wrong partners, handling situations the same wrong way, So I just want everybody to reflect. Barack, sorry, my dog's in here. Be positive, you guys. Love yourselves. Treat yourselves better. Because I feel like we don't treat ourselves as good as we should in our minds. Okay? So love yourself. Love others. Reach out if you can. Fix things that can be fixed. And the things that can't, learn from them and move on. Okay? But I love y'all. Sorry it was a long one. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace and blessings. Can I get a rim shot? Hey.